Yeah, thanks for having me over.
You're welcome.
I thought it'd be pretty fun to make some coffee and talk about...
You have a lot of things in your box.
I did. I brought some things over. I thought, let's just make some coffee.
I'm down.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
There are different ways of brewing, of course. For pour-overs, I think Chemex is like a great option. We need to have our kettle. We need to have a scale of some sort. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a pour-over scale. Nice thing about pour-over scales is that they have your weight and it has time. Those are two things that like you think about when you're brewing.
Yeah. This is a whole new world for me.
I like that because you were like...
I am a bun.
I know, and I love that. It's actually... We're going to do this and just talk about this method. And I want to just... We'll do that. First things first, let's get some water. Turn that puppy up high, and then it's kind of fun because when you do like a stovetop kettle, you'll actually look at the water, and there's different levels of boiling. And so we'll take a peek at it as we get closer. But one of the things that you want to think about, or a person thinks about when we're like, okay, how do we make the best coffee that we can? Ratio. Water to grounds is like such a huge part. And so we'll measure that out. We'll do 50 grams of coffee, which the correct ratio would be, we'll do 800 grams of water then with that. If we're doing 50 grams in here and it's a Chemex, now we know I'm going to have to be a little bit on the coarse side. Versus if I was just doing a flat bottom filter with 15 grams. I can go much finer.
Do you get more out of it then?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, you really are, when you're dealing with like how big are these pieces of grounds, the extraction of the coffee is really different. So like the general rule is the longer that the water and the grounds are interfacing, then the coarser you want it to be. So when you think about like cold brew, which is the longest form, you want like really big chunks of coffee and you're just gonna have a slow extraction. We're using hot water, so you're gonna extract stuff more with hot water. You can easily over extract. So that's like the danger of if it's too fine and you're doing a pour over or using whatever kind of coffee pot or maker you have, you will get like really harsh, intense flavors if it's too fine. Another thing to think about is like your finished roast temperature. So if you have a higher temperature roast, medium or dark roast, those are you can extract those way easier than a really low temp roast. Or if you have a really high temp roast, I mean, that thing is gonna like hand over its flavors without any effort. So that's another factor that you have in your head of like, what's the best way what's the best way to brew this exact stuff? And there's several different pour overs. I don't think that there isn't one type of pour over that's like, this is the best one. I think each pour over has the thing that it does really nice. I think Chemexes are terrific when you're making more coffee than just a single cup or two small cups. And they're great when you want a really clean cup of coffee because the filter. Do you do any kind of weighing out of coffee? You eyeball it?
I eyeball everything. Hey,
there we go.
That's like a full boil right there.
That's perfect. We'll just turn this off.
Okay,
you really don't want to brew coffee with anything that's full on 212 rolling boil, but the lower the temperature roast, those coffees that are harder to extract, you want hotter water because hotter water is going to extract more. This is a 406, so we're going to we'll let that chill out a little bit. And I do a 15 to 1 ratio. Some people can do 16 to 1, some people do 17 to 1. Some people do 12, but I am like, start with 15 to 1. for whatever reason, like weighing out coffee for people, it just like feels, to a lot of people, it feels like we're really asking them to do a lot.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, I can't weigh this up, which I get. There are things that I know if I'm going to make the best cup of coffee, I will measure this.
Yeah.
But that doesn't replace the human part.
Mm-hmm. Well, because you are also really attentive to like beans themselves and those kinds of things. So like if you're always in a measurement mindset, you risk losing sight of beauty.
The beauty.
Yeah.
Well,
you know, because then you're not really like looking at
yeah,
it and
because,
listening to it.
And that's exactly
like,
it. Because when you're, because you're like, the number says it's right.
Right.
It's like, well, yeah, but like there's this whole other thing going on than just the number.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, this is what we'll do. Let's grind a little bit, and then we'll just kind of like figure out what grind. All right. So you can see this is chunkier.
This looks like tea leaves to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Chunkier.
Like dried.
Mm-hmm. Where this feels like a good. This stuff is just too fine. We got our right ratio. We got our filter. We got our right grind setting. So let's just. Some people get really into how are the grounds sitting in the bed. I am actually kind of partial to having it flat. I for quite a while was making more of a divot so I can pour water, and when you do your bloom, you're adding just enough water. But I don't know. I like it like this. So we'll tear it out to 0. So we're starting at 0. Okay. So can you turn this on for me, and then we'll just kind of look at the water.
Look at it nice and bright red.
Okay, perfect. Okay, check it out.
Yep.
That's it. It's perfect. Okay. And okay, so I'm just gonna hit start, and we'll kind of talk it through it. And I'm gonna add the first pour is the bloom, and I'm just gonna go straight down the center because that's where the most grounds are. And I'm gonna add as little as I can get away with adding, but I want to cover all of the beans up. Like I said, there we go. So then we're seeing it is coming out of the filter now. It just started to drip out of the filter, and you can see the bloom happen. Mm-hmm. I wait for it to like do an exhale, which is occurring right now. It's slowly sinking versus like a big like. Yep. But that's kind of why we wait. And sometimes, depending how much coffee is in there, some happen within 45 seconds, and some it's a little bit after a minute. So then I'm just kind of like evenly distributing the water and trying to like cover everything. I don't really want to pour on the filter. Like I don't want really water going on that. And I'm trying to like keep all the grounds wet, but not create like a big like pool of water. Mm-hmm. And you can kind of see that there's like a structure that's going on to the beans, that they're like holding each other up in this. And the whole first part of the pour over, I'm trying to keep that structure intact. It's like a little game I play with the beans. Yeah. We're like I'm gonna keep it full, and then we're like 300 grams, 2 minutes in, 220 in, which is great. That all looks good to me. And we're gonna go up to 800. And this bed is getting close. You can see the change in the suds. Like the bubbles in it now are becoming a little sudsy. Yep. And that is telling you that the structure is about to collapse in there. So I'm gonna just let it sit for a sec. And we're halfway through. So we're 400 grams in, 3 minutes in. And now I'm going to do a pour right down the center, and you can see the suds are, totally changing. I'm going to be I'm actually, in my mind, I'm pouring to the very bottom of the filter. And I'm trying to do all this agitation. Because agitation really brings out flavor.
Okay. I can see why this matters.
It matters. It's so much. And what's funny
I
is
got
like,
a big old boop,
yeah. It's like how this, like the angle of this and how far this is out and how tall it is and what angle is that. All of that stuff when you're like trying to control it. I do it this way just because you have these two things going on. Like how coffee is acting in the filter in the first half of a pour over is significantly different from how it acts the latter part. Right. And in time, we've realized, man, if you agitate this stuff, you will get a ton, you will extract it better. So some people will put a spoon in there or a special kind of like stick or something, and do that, which I just like to achieve it by pouring a lot. And then with a Chemex, it helps it, more water in this filter has more gravity and mass to it, so it'll help move it through quicker. So I don't know. So that's it. That's what it looks like. And let's we should try this. What do you think? How about you do the Italian one and I do the German one?
Excellent. Okay.
That feels true to.
Feels appropriate.
It feels appropriate. Plink.
Chin chin. It's good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah.
It's good body. It's got a good weight to it.
Yes.